Alrighty, Chef Buck here, and today we're going to cook up some beets and beet greens. These are the golden beets. Now, what's the difference between your run-of-the-mill red beet and the golden beet? There's no difference. I mean, they're both packed with nutrition. They're both super duper healthy. It's not going to be as messy. You know, you're not going to have that red juice bleeding everywhere. And tomorrow, when you go to the bathroom and you see red in the bowl and you forget that you had beets the previous day, you know, you're not going to assume that you're dying right off the bat. Now we're going to separate our greens from our bulbs, and we're going to cook both of these. So I'll do it right here to get rid of the roughest part of the bulb, or the stem, and I'll cut the top of the bulb off here and the bottom of the bulb. And you want to make sure and give your greens and bulbs a good wash. That's what we're going to end up with right there. Look how pretty that is. I mean, they're good looking beets. They're definitely not as messy. And I'm going to cut it up in about 1/2-inch pieces. You just saute these up in a pan if you want. But one of the easiest, hassle-free ways to cook up some beets is just to roast them in the oven. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to let them roast away while we're sauteing up our greens. And it doesn't matter what kind of shape or size you cut them into. You just want them to be relatively the same size so that they'll cook evenly in the oven. Alrighty, these are pretty close in size. Now I got a baking pan here that I've lined with foil. I could just put a little bit of water on the bottom of this pan and throw the beets in there and just roast it with a little water, kind of steam them in the oven and let them roast away. But I'm going to go ahead and throw a little olive oil in here and coat them with oil and just cook them in the oven like that. But you don't have to season them at all if you don't want to. I mean, you can go au naturel with these flavors if you like. Put a little oil on my pan. And I'm going to keep it pretty simple. Just a little bit of salt and a little bit of garlic powder. Nothing too crazy, but you can use whatever kind of seasoning you like or none at all. I'm just going to spread them out on our baking sheet. Alrighty, so now I'm just going to slide these in the oven. I got my oven preheated to 350 degrees. We'll just slide it in there. We're going to let them roast away for about ½ hour. 25 minutes, 30 minutes. We'll check on it in a little bit. But while that's happening, we're going to heat up our skillet. I'm going to throw a little bit of oil in there. Get my oil heated up. While my oil's heating up, I'm going to go ahead and start separating my greens from my stems. Boom, boom, boom. And I've already got some pre-chopping stuff done, so you know, you might want to do this first. Because this is a fast process. You know, once you start to cook up your greens, they cook up really quickly. But I'm going to have different sizes, so I want to separate them. Now, if you wanted to, you could chop up the stems super fine and kind of cook the stem and the greens together if you chop them up minutely enough. But I like having bigger pieces of stem so that I got a different texture, so that when I'm eating it, you know, I got some action going on. Once my oil's heated up, I'm going to throw my onion in here and let my onion get a little bit of a head start. And this is a lot of onion. You don't have to use this much onion. You know, you don't have to use onion at all when you're cooking up your beet greens, but I like to turn it into an event. It's not like the kind of event you'd want to buy a ticket for, but and the beet greens are so nutritious. I mean, look, I eat beet greens all the time. Now I'm going to take my stems and I'm going to chop them into about 1/4-inch pieces. And this seems like a lot, but this is just like spinach in that it's going to cook down quite a bit in the skillet. But you know, if you let these go in the skillet for too long, I mean, they'll practically disappear. So we won't do that. So now we'll just work on our base a little bit here. You know, sometimes I like to put some tomato in here, like diced tomatoes. Or you could put like a can of chickpeas in here. Make it kind of a beans and greens dish. But I'm not going to do that since we're eating the bulb of the beet with this tonight. There is no wrong way to do it. We're basically just sauteing up some greens in the skillet. You could season them up, cook them with whatever you like. The main thing is that if you're going to use the stem and the leaf, is that you separate it and chop the stems up and get them started a little bit before the greens. So these have been going for about 3 minutes, giving them a couple minutes head start so they can start to soften up. I'm going to add in a little bit of garlic. We'll go ahead and give this garlic about a minute here with the onion. And I'm going to throw a little bit of seasoning in here, just a little bit of salt and a little bit of chili pepper. And I got my chopped up beet green stems. And we'll get everything mixed up. And I really went pretty light on the seasoning. So that's a call you can make. You know, I've got a lot of that natural garlic flavor is going to be in here. And that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for a nice clean taste tonight. But I'm going to let this cook away. And these greens are going to release a lot of moisture. And I don't have a lid here for this skillet. So I'm just going to throw this pan on here because that looks pretty professional. So while that's happening, I'm going to go ahead and chop my greens up here a little bit more. And these greens won't take any time at all to cook up. So that's why you want to separate the stems and give those a head start. I'm just going to give these a rough chop. When Arnold Schwarzenegger can't sleep and he gets up at like 3 o'clock in the morning and goes down to the kitchen, this is what he's eating. This is what Arnie's eating at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Are you dating yourself?
You know, when you're dreaming about cookies. I mean, am I dating myself? He's still cranking them out. He's still in the major motion pictures, buddy. Okay. What was he in? He was just in Terminator 13, was it? Let me check it out. And I got my skillet on about medium high, which is probably a little too high. Let's throw it down to almost medium. But you can see that even those stems cook down quite a little bit once that water starts to get out of them. Oops, oops, oops. Yeah, it's already pretty tender. I cut them kind of small. You can cut them in whatever shape you want, whatever size. You know, just cook them long enough for them to be tender. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and throw my greens in here already. Spread them around. And I'm going to throw this on here and let them wilt a little bit before I even stir them up. That way I won't make a mess. These here have been going 15 minutes. So these here are only halfway done. And I'm already got this one here pretty much finished from scratch. Because once we put the greens in here, it's not going to take any time at all for this to be complete. So I've really mistimed my dinner here. That's what happens. Nobody's perfect. I mean, just because I look like this doesn't mean I always got it going on. Boom, boom, boom. Man, look how vibrant that green looks. It's looking good. So I'm going to go ahead and turn my heat off. We'll just set these aside. And that's all there is to cooking up beet greens. Boom, boom, boom. So I'll just pull it into a little beet green pile so that they can huddle there and stay warm. Come over here, camera girl. We still got 10 minutes left on this dish. Let me pull it out of the oven here. Letting all my heat out. That's not good. I'll probably let these go for another 10 minutes, but I'm going to go ahead and give them a stir. So I'm going to stir them around. Starting to color up a little bit on one side there. Now the key to roasting beet root in the oven is to make sure that at some point you've touched each individual piece with your hand.
That's because you think we aren't going to eat them if you touch them. Guess what? We'll eat them anyway.
That way people know that you cared enough to touch every little bit of it. So we'll slide it back in the oven, give it another 10 minutes maybe, and then we'll check on it then. See what we got going on. Beep, 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 beep. So the total cooking time has been 30 minutes. All right, now these are definitely finito. You can see that the fork goes easily in there. These are so good. I mean, they definitely got that beety beet taste. But it's just like red beets. But the taste is a little milder, a little bit sweeter. Definitely not a sweet taste. Certainly a beet taste. You know, I kind of like the redness of red beets, but if you don't want to fool with that, you know, that red is almost like a dye. It can be a little aggravating, and it colors up all your food. So if you want a beet flavor without a beet color overpowering whatever dish you're preparing, then you might want to go for some golden beets. Here, come over here, camera girl, and give this a taste test and see what you think of this very simple beet green dish here. There really wasn't much to that. Yeah, it's very good. I really like it. So a couple of very simple beet preparations to use the whole plant. If you want to print these recipes, I'll have the link down below. You can go to myfoodchannel.com, print out all the recipes over there. Boom, 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 all that stuff. Thanks for watching. Hope everybody's doing all righty out there. We'll see you in the future. Bye-bye.